All right, the name of our research project is a parent-child well spacing optimization in the Fayetteville Shale. So for the executive summary for our charter, a large problem in many fields across the world is how to maximize production while still being economical. If too many wells are drilled, you may get a large amount of the hydrocarbons out of the ground, but too much money was spent. This can be said of the unconventional reservoir that is the Fayetteville Shale. In this study, we will be trying to find the optimum well spacing between parent-child offset wells in a specific area of the Fayetteville Shale. Being an unconventional dry gas play, during the completion of the well, there's a lot of communicating and gas sharing between nearby wells. We will be searching for this sweet spot offset distance to maximize the economics of our area. Now to move into the project purpose and justification. As an oil and gas company, the main goal of the business is to make as much money as possible, regardless of the state of the economy or oil and gas industry. The goal of offsetting these wells at a certain distance is to get them as close as possible while still remaining economic. The closer the wells are, the greater the overall recovery of the area is going to be. So producing more gas means more gas is going to sales and more money is being made. Okay, so for the business needs, the current state of the oil and gas industry is far different than the days of $100 oil. Every aspect of the exploration and production business needs to be optimized to its maximum efficiency. We need to save as much money as we can during our operations while still producing the same, if not more, amount of hydrocarbons. If oil and gas prices were relatively high, well spacing would not matter as much because the wells would be very profitable regardless of their offset spacing. However, in the current market, finding an optimum distance is crucial for the company to stay economic. Okay, now for the business objectives. The business objectives for this project are first, through our research that we are doing, find the optimum offset spacing for wells as stated above. Next, based off these findings, we need to continue to drill, complete, and produce wells in this area at the spacing that we determine is that optimum distance. Then we can see how the production of these new wells compares to the wells that we are offsetting.
Project description. We have decided to focus on a certain area in the Fayetteville Shale, the Cove Creek pilot area. This will enable us to ensure that the wells that we will be comparing production data for will be relatively similar. We are going to have to look at the drilling and completions report to see that the wells are drilled in similar zones and completed in similar ways regarding fracture type and cluster spacing. We would like to pick specific wells and do a detailed analysis using well logs to compare different reservoir characteristics of the offset wells. This project has the ability to evolve once we start making discoveries throughout our research. Next, the project objectives and success criteria. First, we will need to collect different information on various wells in the pilot area of interest. We would like to start by comparing the initial production of the first 90 days and cumulative production after a year, since the majority of the natural gas in a well is produced during the first 1 or 2 years. After we obtain this data, we will have to start analyzing it to find any trends based on production decline of the child offset based off the parent. Once these results are found, we can start to get a decent recommendation on where the optimum offset spacing is. From there, we will have to run different economics on what kind of return we are looking at based on the production decline we are estimating at different offsets. Requirements. Our main goal, as stated, is to find the optimum well spacing while still being economical. We will try to determine this through our research and will include any input from our sponsor, stakeholders, or customers. Now, our constraints. Until we decide to actually drill a well, this project is mainly researched. based and should not only require much capital. We will need each member of our team to analyze the data that we obtain and be able to interpret its meaning.
For our assumptions, we are making an initial assumption that the reservoir characteristics of the two wells are similar. This will either be confirmed or refuted when we pick certain wells to do a more detailed analysis on. Our end results will actually be an assumption because when we find this optimum offset spacing is not going to be a set value that works in every situation. It will be a best guess based off the information that we've obtained. For our preliminary scope statement, once we have gone through enough examples and are comfortable with our results, then we can call this project finished. We will have to have a better understanding of how the fracture network is developed and how much distance is required for these well pressure drawdowns in the reservoir to have an impact on each other. The main risk of this project is that it is simply a tool for a reservoir engineer to estimate the production of an offset well. It is by no means a set answer. This, along with other estimation techniques, can be used to determine how much to risk a new well when doing well planning. Another risk of this project is that we may not find a definite answer, which would still be an acceptable result. For our project deliverables, a presentation on our findings will be required. An answer for the optimum offset distance to space off a child well from its parent. And there's also a detailed timeline of our research and budget requirements should be provided.
The project summary milestone schedule is presented in our charter. Any changes will be communicated through the project status meetings by the project manager, who is myself, Carter Reeder. Summary budget will be also stated in the charter and will be based on the planned cost components and estimated costs required for successful completion of the project. As of right now, we do not have any costs for our project since we are researching older wells that have already been drilled, completed, and logged. Depending on its availability, we may decide to use different reservoir simulators to experiment with how our wells are drawn down in the pressure reservoirs. As we get our results from our experiment, we may decide that drilling and completing new test wells to test our results might be necessary. For project approval requirements, this project will be deemed approved as long as we analyze the data to the best of our ability to present an optimum offset well spacing. Even if the results are not what we expect, we should present what we have found and try to understand the findings. We should also do a study on how the economics of our wells are impacted by the increase or decrease in production based off of that offset spacing. As I stated earlier, I will be the project manager for this project. I will be in charge of making sure that we complete the tasks laid out above by the dates that we have set. Although I am the project manager, this will be a team effort with each member of the group contributing equal amounts of time, energy, and effort. I will be relaying the information to our stakeholders as the project reaches various points in its life. We hope to continue to work towards our goals at the set dates, and I will be communicating with anyone outside for further details and instruction. Thank you.